Video in business systems, powerful tool or dangerous trap? In this episode, John Tonkin from Brain in a Box explores the double-edged nature of video in documentation and training. While video is more accessible than ever, John reveals why defaulting to it for everything can create more problems than it solves. You'll learn why video is fantastic but overused and misapplied, discover the difference between watching someone do something and learning to do it yourself, and understand how it can create false expertise in specific scenarios. Learn how to leverage video's genuine strengths like removing ambiguity while avoiding the trap of using 20-minute videos where simple checklists would be more effective. I'm your co-host Anthony Pearl, and this is the Systems from the Box podcast. Let's start unpacking. John, we've got videos of processes in our business. So why aren't things running smoothly? This must be a question that you get quite a bit of.
Yeah. I'll start off by saying videos are fantastic. I love them. Videos are really an amazing tool, and they're so accessible now. Everyone's got, a really good video camera suite on their phone. Everyone can do it. So easy to capture how we did this and how we put that together and what we need to do to test this and so on. So why is it we've got video there and you hear everyone talking about doing, just get your team to video everything. It'll be really good. And yet they don't do things properly. It's because often what people do is to video from one end to the other. So you got a 20-minute video on how to run a meeting, when really probably you don't need any video there at all. You probably just need 10 or 12 points to guide people. But it really comes down to that. We've got to make sure that we don't abuse videos. To me, that's the biggest thing. So we love video, want people to use video because it's so good. But what we don't want is to have it so that it's overused and not used effectively. So that's it.
Yeah, I can imagine that team members, particularly using video in a way, there's a degree of human element in it that is sometimes hard to transfer across that you don't necessarily always explain. I mean, using that example of running a team meeting, well, watching a team meeting doesn't teach you how to run a team meeting.
Exactly. It's a bit like I was playing tennis years ago. We played tennis every week, 4 of us, and we got really good at playing tennis. And then somebody else came, and all of a sudden, every time we played with this new person that one day, we got really bad at playing tennis. And what we'd got was we'd become really good at playing tennis with each other. So I'm not learning how to play tennis. I'm learning how to play tennis with Joanne. I'm learning how to play tennis with whoever it is, with Brian, and with Deirdre and so on. We're learning how to play tennis with them rather than learning how all the ways to play tennis, which will be different, how to play against a backhand, how to play against a little this or a little that, or all the different plays we have. But we tend to have our favorite players. And if you only play tennis with the same people all the time, you learn how to play against them rather than how to play good tennis. And I think there's a bit of that in just the way we can use video too. We can use video and always do it the same way. And so we get really good at people knowing what they're looking at if it's done that same way. But there's not a lot of analysis in there. And I think there are so many things that we can do, that use video well. They've got so much, that they do really well. We've got to capitalize on that and not fall into the nasty negative things there. So if I were looking at it, I'd be saying, little things like the positives that come out of using video, they remove the ambiguity of language. Because if I tell you, then you've got to interpret what I say, picture it in some way, and then work out how you actually do that. But if I show you, whether it's via a video or however I show you in person, we can't repeat that easily, so we put it into a video. If I take that away, then it takes away any reliance upon language. You don't have to have a really strong language understanding because you've got it right in front of you there. You've got it in there, talking to it, going through it and showing somebody in the video, and they can see it. They've got it in front of them. It shows the user, if we do a video, it shows the user exactly what they're going to see more effectively than describing it in words. I describe something in words and now someone's got to be able to interpret that, as I say, turn it into a picture and so on. Whereas if we use a video, they can just watch it and do it. Viewers can hear as much as they can see. We leverage now 2 different senses. So we've got the visual and we've got the auditory. And again, we've got an emotional component there because you can see people, if there are people in it, they can touch something. Oh, that's hot. Straight away, I can feel the hot. I have a sensation because it's shared sensation. Or I see somebody lift the lid off something. Ooh, it smells. And you can imagine the smell and you can sort of get that sensory thing there too. So there's a lot in video that isn't even visual. Good thing about video, of course, you can replay it anytime you like. Oh, let me watch that one again. And you don't have to have those language skills. So there's a lot of good things about videos. A lot of good things.
Yeah, and I think one of the other things is, essentially that's great about video is it's
Yeah.
easy to produce a video these days. And I think that's something that can't be underestimated, that, it wasn't that long ago that it was more tedious and more difficult,
Yep.
but now, everything from recording your screen to recording you, whether you're using, your actual computer or whether you're using your phone, there are many options to choose
Yeah.
from, each of them equally quite easy to do. And you don't need professionals coming in and showing you how to do it. A couple of quick presses,
Right.
away you go. And sometimes because it's easy doesn't mean it's always the best option to
Yeah.
do. The approach that becomes the easiest can be fraught with danger, as you said, beginning, that can get overused, and it can mean that you're overlooking some of the other
Yeah.
options that are so important. So you've talked about the positives of video. So
Yeah.
what do people get wrong with using video?
It's easy to include a whole pile of time wasting on non-essential stuff. So I have had, somebody who said, here's how you run a team meeting. And it started when they're welcoming and it started off with that and it looked really good. And then now we're waiting for 5 minutes whilst everyone signs in and talks to each other and a little bit of chit chat, so on. You think, well, is that 5 minutes teaching me anything? Or is that 5 minutes really using my time badly? I think the second one is using the time badly. And it relies on the expertise of the videographer. I remember watching one video and they were saying, all right, so you've got to lay out these three things here and 1, 2, 3. The trouble was it was 1, 2, 3, and the third one was off camera. And the videographer didn't realize, or the guy had set up a static camera and didn't realize where the boundary was. And so we had this whole thing where you couldn't see what was on the right-hand side of that. So the skill of the videographer comes into play there. There's technology to access them, even though it's really easy. We've all got a phone in our pocket. We've now got to have internet, say, to get it across. I can put it up to YouTube. I can put it into my Google site and you can watch it anywhere, but you've got to have the technology there too, which isn't always there. So sometimes the other thing about a video is that I tell you, oh, there's a really important thing you've got to watch in this video, Anthony. It's just after they do this. And it's only about 10 seconds long, but you've really got to watch it. It's really critical. Now what you've got to do is to go in and find this little 10-second bracket there. And it's really tedious. And not sure whether you found this. Is this the right 10-second bit? Or is it that bit over there? So it's not always straightforward when you want to find things. Another one is, we've had this one where we receive, people will be helpful to us and say, John, we'd like the team to modify this system, please. I've shown you what I want you to do or the team to do in this video. And so we've got a 10-minute video where they're talking around it and talking on it and so on. But we've got to sort of go through, oh, that's where it is. That's the bit I've got to change. And then I've got to pause it, hope I remembered it. Then I've got to rewind it now to check, make sure I have it properly done and so on. And it's really tedious going back and finding the same little part each time over and over again. So you can waste time by doing that. There's also an assumption that having the video will answer every question, which may not be the case, of course. So I've given you a video. Why don't you understand everything? Why don't you know exactly how to run this meeting and so on? Well, half the people didn't turn up and they sent other people along who don't know what we're talking about. That wasn't covered in the video. There could be all sorts of things in there. So it's really, hard to look at that. I suppose the biggest thing for me about video is that video, as the name implies, is all visual, with auditory there too. But it's visual. And of course, there are 4 learning styles, not 1. And so we've got the visual, we've got the auditory, we've got the read-write, and we've got the kinesthetic, and so on. But we're focusing with the video, we're focusing on the visual and the auditory to a lesser extent. But we're focusing on that visual. It's not helping those people who want to read it, who want to have it right in front of them, who want to pick it up and touch it before they learn it and so on. So it's great, but it's not the only way of doing it. And it needs to be supplemented with those other things always. And then, videos are often seen as being the 100% solution. Oh, can you go and record videos on how we do that, please? Oh, good. You've done the videos. Oh, good. I don't have to think about it anymore. Everyone knows everything about it now. So simple, but it's not. There could be tables of data that we needed to give those people to be able to check something. It's just there. Lastly, of course, people hate having to watch things more than once. So they watch the video and then you ask them a question about it. Oh, that means I'm going to have to go and watch it again. And they don't really want to do that. No one really wants to. Even when you've made updates to it. Hey guys, the video's updated. They're just as likely to skim through it, look at a couple of bits, look for the changes you've made, but not watch it and absorb it as if it's the most critical thing there. So I love video, but I love it when it's done properly.
Hey, John, I just want to take a break from the main part of the podcast for a moment so you can tell us a little bit more about Brain in a Box.
So Brain in a Box the idea started when I was working in corporate. I was working in a couple of major companies, internationals, and I decided that when I went out and started my first business in 2000, that it was going to use the same principles as I had done in corporate world to capture systems and to make them accessible to the team. But I thought, I've got to be able to do this for small business, small to medium business, and that's what we focus on. So we work with the business owner, with the team, to capture what the business does, and then to minimize the risk by going through and looking at all the risks that we have to manage, make sure we capture those and manage them effectively, and also to achieve the benefit. That's just effectively what it is. I know what the next question is.
I suppose the question is, in the end, is you kind of alluded to it there, when it's done properly. And I suppose that's the case, is when would you use video? What is the ideal time to use video in the business?
We love video. I can look at a process that might have 4 videos in it, but that video was only 10 seconds long. This one's a minute and 3 seconds or something. This one might be 42 seconds and this one might be 35 or something like that. Why? Because they're short, sharp, focused videos. There's no fluff. There's no intro. Now, in this video, we're going to talk about how to fix, something or other. I hate those. They're meaningless and they just treat people as, silly. It's really got to be something that just sort of, all right, to do this, it might need something to explain what it is. It'll be to assemble this. What we're going to do is to pick up. We should have a spanner. We should have that. We should have a number, blah, blah, whatever it is, and so on. And here's how you do it. You hold this, you do that, and it's straight to it. Get to the point, explain it. If you need to go over something, so the recap, we started with these things, we did that. You can do it all in the video. And then what you're going to do it really well is to chapterize or put that video into chapters or headings, add those into the video so that somebody watching it can go straight to the part where you're doing a recap or something along those lines, or break it up into a separate video. If they're short videos, people will rewatch them. So it's a lot easier if you make a 30-second video that people can watch rather than a 14-minute video that no one's ever going to get there. So the next thing,
I was going to say, there's nothing worse, John, than watching a video all the way through that's of some length and go, oh, there was that point where he said X, Y, Z, and now you've got to scroll through the entire thing to try and find that. And if it's as you say, if it's a 1-minute video, not a big deal. When it's a 10, 15-minute video, that is a pain in the neck, let alone ones that can be substantially longer than that.
Yeah. And that's, to me, that's the biggest indicator that we should just be doing little snippets, unless it needs something longer. I mean, there's some things where you will need to be longer, but generally speaking, I'd rather see those 5 little bits rather than watch the whole 20-minute video. So to me, videos need to be short, sharp, and to the point, because there's got to be no fluff, no intro, no outro, because this isn't a marketing thing. This is just showing people how to do it. This is part of our systems. So no intro, no outro, just the guts, just the bit that says, here's how, here's what you need, here's what you do, here's what it looks like when it's done, that sort of thing. I would always try and have it supported by a flow chart so that it has context. We want something so that the different learning styles can follow the flow chart and say, oh, good, here's a video showing me just how to do that one bit, and they can go straight to it. So it's a lot easier than watching that 30-minute or 14-minute video we're talking about. We can position the videos on the flow chart so that you can see exactly where they're relevant. I don't have to worry. I don't see 3 videos and I think, all right, when do I watch them? What do I do with them? We're saying this is where that video 1 is relevant, video 2 here, video 3 there. And we, as I say, we can break them into sections by cutting them into short focused videos or by using sections, chapters with linked headings. Excuse me. I can feel that coming. So use it, but use it properly. Simple as that.
I think the lesson here as well with all of that is editing is also important, right? I mean, it's one thing when you're filming something being done, and whether that's on screen or whether that's a manual process or whatever it might be, doesn't mean because you've recorded that whole thing, which might have taken, X amount of minutes, means that whole thing has to end up being something that you show. Even you don't have to if you've got a 10-minute video, you don't have to break it up into 10 1-minute videos. You might work out that you need a 30-second video at the beginning, you need another 45 seconds at this point, another 45 at this point, and another 60 seconds at the end for the end point. But the rest of it can just go on the cutting room floor.
Yeah. And so it really must. One of the things that I would always be thinking of is it's like when you're talking, I remember hearing somebody saying, I can't remember who it was, but don't speak unless you can improve the silence. And it's a bit like that with video. There is no value whatsoever in having something that hasn't been broken into chapters or sections. So having something which is, just got everything still in there. So we want to have it trimmed. We want to have that editing, and definitely editing is the critical bit there. We have a rule. We have a video sheet that we give our clients when we're working with them, and it helps them to organize what they're going to put in, what I must do before we prepare, when we're preparing to video something, what the basic points are that we're covering, then what we have to do at the end. And we have a little rule there because we used to get our clients to video how they did this or how they did that, and nice short little videos, as I was saying. But then they'd get the team to do it, and the team would be going, so when you're doing an invoice, make sure that you, and they'd giggle and carry on and so on. And then they'd do another try, another take, and it's sort of almost as if they're pretending or thinking that they're doing it professionally. So we made a rule that said you can only do 2 takes. If you dissolve into a ball of jelly once, next time is going to be it. And you can't do that. So in other words, we make it so that they only do 2. And one of those is going to end up being up on the intranet or wherever we're going to put it. And then we go through and we do the editing. We, basic one, we just cut out the shits and fucks. And then we cut out the pauses and we leave it at that mostly, because they don't really matter. If we focused on just what we want to show and made it tight there's some editing to do, but it doesn't matter if it's got a few little bits in there that we thought, I wouldn't publish that, but we're not publishing it. We're just showing it to the team.
John, we've never done it this way before. Right? Is that a leading question that, clearly, for those that are listening, you didn't get to see John's facial expression then. For those that might watch this on a short video, then you'll get to see the joys of that. That's a horror question that you must get thrown at you all the time.
Yeah. I get lots of questions. Say it again and I'll pull a face again.
Before you go, don't forget to hit the subscribe button on whatever platform you're tuned to. Thank you for listening to the Systems from the Box podcast featuring John Tonkin from Brain in a Box. Details on how to contact John and his team are in the show notes, along with other valuable links you don't want to miss. This podcast is produced by Podcast Done For You. I'm Anthony Pearl. We look forward to your company on the next episode.